Hey, June, how you doing? And Bernice and John, and now we got Wanda. Okay, so everybody's getting here.
We're getting here.
So we're back. Okay, I got your sample, that where you tried to blend.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit too.
Okay.
So, gonna get everybody here for a minute. So we've only got 6 of us so far. John, June, Bernice, Beverly, and Wanda. Okay. Here's Betty Bates. How you doing, Betty?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's Friday. We're winding it. While we're waiting for a few more people to get on, yesterday afternoon, we had a Department of Senior Services meeting, and talking about the timeline for what they call re-engagement. And it's not like we haven't been working up until this point, but what they're talking about is, actually getting the centers back open and getting people, back to them. And the original date was June the 1st, that they were going to start having people going back into like the facilities and offices. And that's just staff, for cleaning and preparing and stuff. They put that off because of the demonstrations downtown. They didn't want to put people there, so they've put it off now to June the 15th. So people will be going back to the downtown offices around that period of time. But they won't all go back at once. What they're going to do is they're going to phase them in, a little at a time. And I don't know exactly how they're going to work it out, but they're not going to have everybody in the building at the same time. So some people may be working, 2 or 3 days a week, and coming in shifts. So again, they can keep the number down and everybody's not in the same space. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to create social distancing. So like when I head into the Benson Center, I'll be going in there, but, probably only half to a third of the staff will be there. So we'll be spread out. We'll be doing what we need to do. But I won't be there every day. And I will be sending out an email to everybody, because I don't think they're going to be able to update the class list, between now and Sunday. But I'm going to send it to them. We'll see what they do with it. Okay. But I will make sure to send it to all of you so that you have it as well. Okay. All right. Well, we got a few people here. Okay. We're up to 11. So I'm going to get started, and we're going to go through some of the things that you guys submitted, and we're going to talk about them. If I can find my way around here. All right. Yeah, this is. Okay. So can everybody see that?
The bottom, I think.
The bottom, yeah, it's okay. I got to open up the window, I guess. So you're trying to fit everything on this.
Okay.
There we go. You got it now?
Not very clear. Really light.
No, it is. This is from Bernice, and she had sent this in.
No.
Pardon?
That's Wanda, I think.
Is that Bernice?
No.
No. Oh. That's not yours?
No.
Oh.
Is that yours, Wanda?
That's mine.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I had it. All right. At any rate, yeah. So she was working on trying to turn form, on, an egg, and she's got one sample of where she's actually holding it, and another where it's laying on the table. And we talked a little bit about, the fact that she just needs a wider range of value. Okay. So instead of having, it's really almost like there's two values on the egg itself, in like the light being here and all of this falling into shadow, which seems correct, but there's not enough variation in the shadow itself to really make it begin to feel round. So basically, Wanda, push your values.
Okay.
And I think we've looked at this too, but Betty Bates. And she took the, she did her original drawing over here to the right, which is a nice drawing.
Who is that?
Betty Bates.
Oh, okay. Mm.
Betty, you want to wave at everybody?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Betty.
Yeah. I like the one that's the one you started with. No.
Well, I think she started with this. And she did this one afterward. And again, she sort of simplified it, abstracted it, played with the lines.
Oh, okay.
But she kept,
I tried to experiment at Charles's directive because that isn't my way of thinking, but it was kind of fun to do it. So
You put your own take on it. I think that's nice.
yeah, I just wanted to try to get the idea of movement and form and that kind of thing. So it was fun to do something different.
yeah, and we talked about this a little bit the other day, I think on Monday. I would take it, I would keep playing with it. Maybe crop it differently, or put it on a bigger piece of paper or something where it's more central. Just play with different ideas about how to compose it. And if you wanted to take it into, shapes and colors, you could. If you just wanted to keep it in tone, you could do that as well. But yeah, it's got it's kind of a nice fluidity to it. So, try not to lose any of that. And the thing that for me makes it kind of interesting and powerful is how, you've used line, and it's primarily a line drawing, but
Right.
the weight of the line and really making some of these very strong and bold, others a little softer, a little more sketchy. All of that adds to the interest, in the drawing. And, if you cover up the drawing over to the right and just look at, this one drawing by itself, it's, you capture a lot of the same feeling without really drawing her.
Mhm.
Good job on that. I like that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
All right. And so I'm going to say this is Beverly's.
Nice.
Okay. I hope I'm right.
Yes. And it looks so elementary.
Well, not really.
Mm.
I think you did a really good job of capturing sort of the general feel and movement, and you added your own take to it and kind of made it outside. And you've got, I guess those are flowers or tree branches or something, and butterflies. And, there's a lot of movement, and, it's really kind of a fun little piece. But you did several of them, I think. Let's see, maybe I'm giving.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now that was one of your earlier ones, wasn't it?
Yes. And I said she looked like a child.
Right. Yeah, you did. And then you went back and did that version. Right?
Yes.
Okay. And so you see, it's like every time you do it, you know, you get a little further with it, don't you? And now is this, well, I guess this was your original
Yes, it was.
drawing. Okay, yeah, yeah, because I see a lot of the same patterns, you know, on it. You've just added in the other elements to it on the drawing. Okay.
And then when I thought about it, when I had it sent,
Mm-hmm.
a butterfly isn't as big as your head. So my butterflies are too big.
Well, it depends. Since we're looking down at her anyway, are the butterflies closer to us?
Hey.
See, I made it flat because I didn't realize I was looking down.
Uh-huh. But you see, the butterflies being as big as they are, it could tell you that you are looking down at her because they're closer to you and she's
Okay.
further away. So I didn't really have a problem with the size of the butterflies. Now, if I were going to do something like that, and I really wanted to emphasize that point, what I might do is rather than put those butterflies all up here, is I might actually take one of them and have them sort of partially cover, you know, like part of her dress or maybe part of her arm, actually overlap it. And so you see, because of the difference in the scale and the fact that it's overlapping, it's going to tell you the butterfly is closer to me, he's further away.
Okay.
Okay.
But when I redid it, I only put 2 butterflies in and I took some of the twigs, the plants out.
Right. Yeah. And you know, that's just an idea. I mean, I'm not saying you have to do that or anything, but if I were gonna do that, I would look at that and go, oh, okay, you know, I've got these shapes up here, you know, for my butterflies. How am I really going to tell somebody that they're much closer to me? Well, scale is one way, you know, how big they are in relationship to her. But also you could take them and design it to where they overlap, right?
Okay.
And in fact, if we have time, I'll show you an artist, and she works with things that are pretty similar to this. And I want you to look at the design and how she uses the scale of things and how they overlap.
All right.
You know,
Thank you.
to do that, okay?
Thank you.
I think that's cute. It looks like a little girl playing in a field of flowers with butterflies flying all around her. I think
Yeah,
that's really-
It
Yeah,
is,
it's a
yeah.
beautiful little piece. And, you know, you could take it and do all kinds of things with it. Okay. And now that you're online and out here, this was your drawing. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was a little bit light at first, you know, and I like kind of where you went with it. You darkened the background around it, and then see that made it much more powerful, didn't it? You know,
Yeah, I did. Mhm.
and did you do that with like ink, like an ink wash, or was that paint, or how did you?
I actually did it with paint.
Okay, yeah, and that's fine. I mean, it worked out really well to really darken that. Now we're going to talk about some things later about, you know, pushing your forms. One thing about the drawing is, well, here, it's probably easier to see in this one actually. You see the line going down the side of the body here? You know, you've got it coming up here in front of the arm. And so you see it pushes this arm back and it pushes the chest things out. So that's working really well for you. But when you go further down, you've straightened this line out and it kind of flattens out the shape, see? And somewhere in here, like right around the bottom of the breast, you need to be able to find a line that breaks inside here and maybe one at the rib cage. And the waist, you know, anytime you see something, if you see it as being a curve or round, exaggerate it. Make it more than you think it really is, okay? Because what you're trying to say is, what I really see is that she's really a very round shape. And you've kind of flattened that out in there. And if you pushed that and made it much more round, it would have felt like she was moving away from you. And I'm gonna, yes,
I don't understand. You say exaggerated and you say make it rounder or something?
Yeah.
I don't.
okay. So there's your drawing. And then here's a little quick sketch that I did from when we ended the last class to now. Because, okay. So what I did is I took that same pose, right? And see, when you get down and around here, you really want to begin to bring this shape around. Because it's not just the outside shapes of things. It's, you're looking for a way to move around that form. So how can you start over here, come down and see with the rib cage, come inside, right? And then you come from behind the rib cage down to the waist, and again around, that figure. So you can push that maybe a little rounder than you really see it, because you're trying to emphasize the fact that it's not a flat shape. Okay.
I
Same
see.
thing with like the ribbon on her neck. So you push that curve in there to say, okay, her neck is really round. And the same thing with the movement. If you really look at this, you've got two really strong curves. You've got the curve from her foot all the way up through, her body out to the top of her head. And then you've got the curve from, the hand, which would be her left hand, to her right hand. And it's not a straight line. Her arms are not really straight. They've got to move. They've got to curve. And when you look at, let's leave this just for a moment and look at the actual Degas. Can everybody see that?
No.
No.
Oh, you.
Okay. There we go. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. You can't, well, my question is, can you see the other drawing at the one that I did at the same time? Behind you?
No.
Not lucky in that way. Okay. All right. So we'll talk about this just for a second. So, when we look at what we see here, see, her arms are not really straight. It's not a straight line. It's a curve.
Got our photographs blocking the model that you wanted to show.
It is?
Yeah, on mine. The Degas one is to the left where I can see the whole figure. And our photographs are talking to you. The other
Yeah.
one in half.
You can hit
down
that
the middle.
minus sign
I
and
can
that'll
only see-
take it off.
Yeah. Right now, I'm on just looking at the photograph that you guys were working from. Okay. And what I'm saying is that her arms are actually not like really straight and stiff. They're actually kind of curved. And if you see a little bit of a curve there, push it, And Degas did sort of the same thing. See, he's got this nice curve here, and he's got this really nice curve, moving through the figure, down to the foot. So let's go back to the drawing again. I'll get used to this one day. I promise. There we go. Okay, let's take that away, out of my way. So again, push, exaggerate, make it more than you think. Okay. And the more you do that, the more sort of dynamic and the more motion and the more movement and expression you'll get in your drawings. So that was kind of my point when when we're looking at like your drawing here, Eloise, is again, you know, it's a really nice drawing, but exaggerate things a little bit, you know, push them a little bit further. You know, when you put in the dark background around it, you know, it helps create, you know, more contrast, you know, and make it kind of a stronger piece. But again, you know, pushing those curves. And I think, you know, you've got a pretty good movement this way. Your arms are not real stiff, you know, so that's working really well. It's just, you know, in little places like here in the body where you've kind of flattened, you know, those shapes out. And like here at the neck where it's kind of straight across, if you would have made them a little rounder, it would have felt like it had more volume, okay? Here's a pretty good example. Now this is Alon's piece. Now he took a, you know, same idea of a dancer, right?
Well,
But-
he fixed the edges.
Pardon?
He fixed the edges.
He,
You can't tell where the photo ends and the
Oh,
painting.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he went back and he did, you know, what I suggested, which is he went back over the edge of where the paper, well, you know, because this is a collage. So it was actually a photograph of a dancer that he started with. And then he made a copy of it on a copy machine, you know, pasted it down to a canvas or a board. And then he added, you know, paint to it. When we first saw it, you could really see the outline of where the paper was cut out. And now he's been pretty successful at covering, you know, most of that up. So it really looks like it's all part of one thing. And that might be a little better shot of it. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. So you really do, you know, begin to lose those edges and things in there. The edges of the paper, you know, you still see the movement. But again, you know, it's, you know, he's with that blue paint, he's come back in and he's put this really strong gesture, you know, this curve. And, you know, it gives this piece a lot of life and a lot of movement just in doing that. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Oh, you're here.
I am here. I cannot show my face.
Oh, okay. All right. I understand. Okay. Sometimes I don't want to show my face either, but
It's like I had surgery this morning, so.
I know you said that. Yeah. It was with your eye, right?
Yeah,
Everything work out okay?
I hope so.
Me too. Okay. Now this is Jean's version of this ballerina. Okay. And again, you know, really nice movement, you know, very different approach, very different style. She did this in pastel. And, you know, it's a very nice little piece, you know, good contrast and value. And, you know, it feels like she's dancing, you know, so that's, you know, that worked out really well. This is John. Now, earlier we were talking, and John uses these watercolor pencils. And I guess he was having trouble blending. And John, are you here?
I'm here, yeah.
Okay.
I said, when you're on yours, the colors seem to blend and form one tone, but on
Right.
mine, I could see the purple, I could see the red, I could see it didn't blend together. Right?
Okay. So again, if you take a white or, you know, something that's, you know, very light but neutral, and begin to build up more material on this, you know, and looking at this, you just haven't gone far enough to get enough material on there
Okay.
to really get it to meld together.
Okay.
So, you know, again, I would experiment with it, you know, take,
Okay. Right.
you know, a piece of paper, like watercolor paper, whatever, just take a little scrap of it and begin to just play with building up color one over another. And so it takes, you know, before you really start getting it to kind of mush together and, you know.
Right. Right. Okay.
But let's see. And then we have June. This is June Wang. And it's a lovely little drawing, June.
No, thank you. I don't know how to do it.
Okay. Well, you know, you've done a really nice job in the drawing. It's like a really nice little sensitive drawing. But here's the issue is that you've kind of, and somebody was saying this earlier, it's sort of like you're just looking at her and she's at the same level as you are. You don't really feel like you're up above her. And the reason for that is because you've taken the shape of the dress and you've kind of flattened it out. You know, it's not as round as the dress actually was, you know, in the reference and or in the Degas. And the other thing is you've kind of straightened her up. You know, you put.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, it's not curved. You know? Yeah, she looks like, you know, she's got a bad back doing back.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So the first thing, you know, the very first thing, you know, in doing a human figure, before you get caught up in, you know, all the anatomy and everything else, is look at how he or she is moving, you know, and try to get, you know, just some gestural lines to really capture, you know, the movement, you know, of that figure, and then build the figure on top of that. Because you just start drawing the part, you know, we have a tendency to go straight up and down the page and straight across the page. And that ends up making the figure look kind of stiff, okay?
Yes.
And we don't, you know, well, I don't think we want to make a stiff-looking ballet.
Thank you.
But the incredible thing is, it's like, look how sensitive you went about laying in the tone and getting the form and everything else around the dress and her costume and her arms. You know, the whole upper body part of this, even though it's straight, you know, the way you actually drew it and laid in the tone was really, really nice, you know. So you got a lot of nice things going on about here, you know, in the drawing itself. You know, you just needed to really kind of think about the movement of it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. This is Larry Lawrence Ligner, and this was his girl with the pearl earring. And he had done a line drawing, and it was, you know, very lineal, you know, kind of almost reminded you of a Picasso sort of drawing. And then he added the value to it. And it's become a much richer, more interesting drawing now. And, you know, it's got a very graphic style to it, but still, you know, a very nice drawing. And he's got a bunch of them. I thought this was actually one of his more interesting drawings. When you look at this, can everybody tell what this is?
See the outline of a face on the left.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, it is. It's a woman's face. And so you've got light, you know, hitting, you know, part of her.
Like the body going down the middle.
Well, no, that's hair. You know?
I see, but if you kind of squint at it, it looks like the top of it is the neck, and the body is coming down.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
To the right.
Yeah, I guess you could make. You know.
It looks like a chair is coming, you know, from behind, not on the left-hand side, that little arch piece.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, you can see a lot of things in it.
Yeah. Anyway, you know, here we are again. We're running out of time. Wow. I gotta move fast.
Too fast.
But yeah, that's the interesting thing about that drawing is that, yeah, you can. It's, you know, you look at it and you see a lot of different stuff. This is another one that he did in a very similar style where it's kind of negative, positive.
Oh, that one I can see.
Yeah, and it's really kind of a nice design to it. Again, I'm going to fly through these real quick. This is Naomi Coffins. I think she was here, and yeah, she is. And that was her ballerina. That's
I don't know if you could hear me. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Okay, but anyway, it's in. I think it's in Conte, right?
Yeah, and pencil. I use two things. Yeah, but I put her foot out there. I mean, the foot shouldn't go there. It should go in back. But I wanted to put the foot in this extra one here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In reality, because of the angle that we were looking at her, you couldn't see her other leg or foot. But yeah, I understand why you would want to do that. This is Rebecca Pickney. And again, you know, she was working from the reference that I sent you guys. This is the girl with pearl earring. And it looks like she's working in colored pencil. I don't know whether she's here or not. Anyway, that was early on, and that's the last one that she sent me. So she added in some background and things around it. Let's see. This is one of.
Finally, I see Wonder down there.
Huh?
Finally, I see Wonder down there.
Yes. So Wanda.
This is me too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is this you?
Yes, it is.
Oh. Okay. Well, I thought, yeah, Wanda, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, we got the right name with the right. You were confusing me there for a minute. Did I mess that up too? Okay, so you sent me this with an email and you were asking me about the arm.
Yes.
Good, because I took a bit of time, you know, during lunch, and rather than eat lunch, I did a drawing. I gotta get
Okay.
There we go.
Ah.
And I talk to you about when you look at the arm that you drew,
Mm-hmm.
what you're missing. You see where all these little circles are?
Yes.
What you're missing is where you went along the outside shape of the arm, but you didn't break the line. And see, like right here, this muscle, if you come inside just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
it tells you that this is closer to you than, say, this part of the arm.
Okay.
And if you break this part of the arm right here at the elbow on the inside, in front of this, then that tells you again, this part of the arm is closer to you than this. And by doing that, what you're saying is, okay, this is moving away from me toward her, okay?
Okay.
Again, you know, you break the line, you know, you've got on the forearm, you've got, here, I'll hold my hand. You've got this part that's a little bit fatter.
Okay.
And then what does it do? It narrows down. But
Right.
there's kind of a shape in there, right?
Okay.
And if you, again, if you just break that line, it tells you again, this is closer to you than this part of the forearm here. And then when you get to the hand again, you break, you know, you find a line to break inside again, and it pushes that hand back. And see, that's
Okay. Yeah, I see now. Thank you. Yeah. Wow, that's much better.
yeah. But you see, it pushes it back.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just, you know, let's go back and look at your drawing. See, and you've kind of continued with an almost continuous line here, you know, and you know, you need to find those little points where, you know, something comes, you know, just slightly inside. And again, it's telling you that that shape is not flat, that it's actually round, and that, you know, something moves inside and around that form. And, you know, if you look for little places like that, you know, your drawings will begin to take on more dimension, even if you don't add a lot of tone to it, just working in line. The other thing I would tell you about this drawing is I would spend some time really thinking about how you're going to vary those lines. Where's the light? Where's the shadow? If, like, the underside of this arm is all in shadow, then I would make it a much stronger line. Make it darker, maybe bolder. And by doing that, you see, you've all of a sudden, you know, you would have something that's going to take your eye, pull you into the drawing.
Okay.
See, a movement. You know, it's not just what you're drawing, where you place it and how you use it, you know, to get your eye to move, you know, throughout the drawing, right? So maybe that's a stronger line.
Okay. It seems I should move his shoulder up a little or something. No? Okay. Okay.
Not necessarily. No.
Okay.
I think it's okay where it is.
Okay.
But again, you know, this, you know, the line of his face. Again, if it's going to be in shadow, probably a much bolder, stronger line than you're going to have on her face, which is maybe getting more light, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, you know, I don't know what you were working from, whether this is all from your head or whether you were looking at a photograph of some sort. But, you know, if you're looking at a photo reference, then really look at where the lights and the shadows are and try to interpret those into different types of lines. And a line can be very faint, kind of like this one that, you know, basically almost disappears, or it can be very, very bold, kind of like you have, you know, with the eyebrow, or even bolder than that. Okay?
Okay. I was trying to get the sketch, the arm done before I did anything else because it's just unproportioned to me.
Right.
But now that I saw your drawing of it, I understand now.
Okay. Yeah. It's you know, we don't really see a lot of this guy's body, so we don't know whether he's very thin, very tall, you know.
He has a big head.
Yeah, you think it's too big?
No. He might be a big guy. He might be big.
I just wanted a picture of a man or woman, you know, in a loving thing like that. So
he might be 5 feet 2, 8 feet.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got about less than a minute.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So I'm really not going to get around to showing you this artist that I wanted to talk about today. But Monday, I'll put her stuff in the queue, and we'll talk about it more at the Inspirations of Art, okay?
Okay.
But at least I kind of got through just about everybody's drawing. There's your...
there it is.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now that is yours, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Good. I'm you know, it seems like this week I had a hard time, you know, getting the right name on the right piece or whatever. Okay. And, you know, in looking at this, you know, your curve in the dress, you know, the movement, the arms are pretty good. The body feels a little too straight, and you could have pushed, curve that a little more.
Okay.
And like I was saying to Eloise, here at the bottom, again, you know, you could have, again, kind of followed that same curve as the dress and made that a lot rounder, and then you would have kind of put it in the same perspective. And then again, you know, lines that kind of come and move in and around the form, just like with the arm, things like that. You know, where one part of the arm breaks in front of another. You know, look for those things. And again, it will make that drawing more, you know, dimensional and tell you, you know, what's closer to you, what's further away, whether something's, you know, going away from you or, you know, coming at you. And that's what we call foreshortening. Okay.